Hello guys, it's Spurs 21 here and welcome to Spurs Chat. Today we're going to be talking about Dele Alli, specifically what makes him so influential for us and how far can he go. Ever since we first signed him 2 years ago now, in January 2015, uh, we'd heard that he was certainly a very promising young talent who had been proving himself in the lower divisions for MK Dons, and it became apparent even in the pre-season before we joined the first team, when we played that pre-season tournament in Germany against Real Madrid, when he nutmegged Luka Modric, that he had a lot of confidence, belief in himself, and I think it showed in the early games because I'm sure that Maurizio Pochettino and the coaching staff probably didn't expect, probably fairly to be so, that Dele would immediately be thrust into the first team. They probably wanted to ease him in, but I think his performances and his drive was so outstanding that it always kind of forced their hand into putting him into the side. I mean, you think of how cool and composed he was in big matches early on. You think of the different types of goals he was scoring as well. I mean, scoring from the edge of the box, scoring headers. Of course, everyone remembers the goal against Crystal Palace last season, which was just a work of art. He really immediately captured all of our imaginations. We thought, we've got an absolute gem on our hands. Then there's been the times where he's shown that devil-ish tendencies in him. There were a couple of incidences last year, namely away at Fiorentina in the Europa League. Of course, West Brom last season where he punched Jakob in the stomach, and noticeably, of course, the red card tackle against Ghent. And that sort of led some to say that he's a nasty player. He isn't. He's got the drive and streak in him. He's got that little edge that people like, like Paul Scholes had in his prime day. You could have that edge of a player in him with the skill to accompany him. And as I've said before, all Dele needs to do is harness that into that skill, like Paul Scholes used to do. Who could harness that ability in him to drive and help the team forward. And I think once he's mastered that, he could be one of the greatest midfielders we've ever had. And that's not jumping to a conclusion. When you consider what he's already done at 20 years old and what he can do, the sky is the limit for the boy. And also another thing is basically he is very different to the typical English midfielder, if you will. You see, most of the young players, the English players that come through like academies and such, are sort of taught, the certain way of a midfielder, and like they get build up and up to a certain way of playing. Whereas Dele, because he came through the lower divisions, doesn't necessarily have that. He has the ability to think on his feet. Like Scholes, like Gerrard, like Lampard. Players of that ilk. He has the ability to instantly think of something on the fly, and I think that's one of the reasons we often see the passes and shots he manages to pull off. So I think there's that element to it as well. So in short, basically, if he is to progress and move on and on, all he's got to do is just to keep his head down, work, and really, you've seen how Lampard, Gerrard and Scholes always revolutionised the goal scoring midfielders and what we expect from, they elevated the game of midfielders from scoring 5 goals, maybe 10 goals a season, to scoring 15 to 20 goals a season. And I think Dele Alli, he got 10 in the Premier League last season. He's already on 10 or 11 this season already, and he can easily be, like as I said, Frank Lampard for me is probably one of the greatest Premier League midfielders of all time. So, and I genuinely think he's got the ability to match Lampard and even surpass him. I know you're going to slightly ilked me for that comparison, but true, Lampard always had the ability to go. He was the true box-to-box midfield player, somebody who could defend for help from the back and then immediately go forward on an attack and score. Within 10 seconds. Dele Alli's got that in him. We've seen many times. He has the great defensive work and also, the ability to immediately score. So, as I said, the sky is the limit for him, and as long as we can fulfil his ambitions and we all improve along with him, he could be in the company of Hoddle, Waddle, as one of the true Spurs legends. Do you guys agree with me on that? Do you think he's got that potential in him? Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe, and follow my social media links as well. I've been Spurs 21. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Come on, you Spurs.